And again, it's always like we have it, and media especially, it's the last guy who was the best. It's that team who was the best. It's that team is the new dynasty. And we've seen some marvelous quarterbacks here from Ryan Lindley, Todd Santos, and then Kevin O'Connell, and then Ryan Lindley. And those guys were marvelous, but it didn't begin with them. It's the guys from back then. That's why this banquet is so marvelous, that it brings the past back to us, some who are not here anymore, some, thank God, who are, many and most who are. But it began way back then with Dennis Shaw, who you've met, with Brian Sipe, with Jesse Freitas, and then making his debut in Arizona, I believe, in Tucson, in September of 1974, and to a marvelous career. Our first of the inductees today into the Aztec Hall of Fame. If you'll watch the screen and be introduced to Craig Penrose. If you look up Craig Penrose, he's described this way. He set up in a pass-happy system at San Diego State University in an era where such passing was uncommon. Translation, playing for Claude Gilbert. Running the wide-open offense to perfection, Penrose led the Aztecs to the PCAA title in 1974 and was named Sporting News and Time Magazine First Team All-American and UPI All-Coast and All-PCAA quarterback in 1975. That same year, Penrose was MVP of the Senior Bowl. Craig was a fourth-round draft choice by Denver, 1976, and played 4 years for the Broncos, 1 season for the Jets. Saw action along with former Aztecs Haven Moses and Claudie Miner in Super Bowl 12 for the Denver Broncos. Craig Penrose, a member of the 2017 Aztec Hall of Fame. There's Craig Penrose right here.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you. Original Doobie Brother back in the 70s. That's how the look was. First of all, I'd like to thank the Aztec Hall of Fame committee, the people that put in the time to make something like this so nice and special. A special thanks to the original GOAT brother, Brother D. Weiss, Dennis Weiss, and the Weiss Foundation. For putting on such a great thing and recognizing a lot of us to be able to come back. Ted mentioned something that was and still is very, very important. When I came to this campus, there were 3 very important names that had played quarterback here. And to be finally able to say I'm somewhat close to them and being in the Hall of Fame with them is a very important and a very true honor. And those names are Don Horn, Dennis Shaw, and Brian Sipe. Because when I got here, that's all I heard, and I know why, because they were great quarterbacks. And as Ted said, they were one of the first group of guys that really put San Diego State football and quarterback play on the map. So this is my story. I grew up in Woodland, California. I went in 1971 to the University of Colorado when 1971 had only freshman football. Freshmen were not eligible. Played in a total of 1 game as a freshman, and by the end of my sophomore year in spring ball, I had played myself up from 7th string to 6th string and had started to threaten the roster at some point. I was fortunate enough to start in what was the spring game. Back in that time, the alumni teams would typically play the varsity teams. So I was able to start in the spring game. The problem was I started for the alumni team and not the varsity team. They needed a quarterback and decided that a 16 quarterback might not be playing in the varsity side. So I was lucky enough to be able to play for the alumni and found that I had a little bit of talent, and if I could find the right program and the right opportunity, maybe I could play football. I had a very close friend that was my roommate, was a San Diego athlete, Kearney High School, and he and I were talking about I need to transfer, and where should I go? And I was real dead set thinking that I needed to go to Stanford, because at the time Stanford was a passing team, and of course they were in the Pac-8. My friend, who I love dearly, said, you know, Craig, you might be talented enough to play football, but I know you're not smart enough to go to Stanford. So we're gonna need to make you think in other directions. The story I remember, and that's probably close to true, is he brought me up to San Diego State and introduced me to two people that at the time I would never have known would be as important to me in my life, and that was Claude Gilbert and Ted Tollner. We spent an afternoon, and I'm not sure they knew who I was, and I'm not sure they cared. And by the next day, the story goes from my friend, he got a call and they said, bring him back up, we want to offer him a scholarship, which led to my third year in college, which was redshirting at San Diego State and running the scout team. So now I eventually was able to be eligible to play in with the unbelievable coaching and the perfect head coach in Claude Gilbert. And anybody that knows Claude would see him as probably one of the toughest guys on the outside. But for me, Claude was the perfect guy. He was so tough, but yet so kind and so great to play for. And I will always be in debt for Claude to see in me what I probably didn't see and give me the opportunity to play for him in San Diego State. With that in mind, the same thing was with Ted Tollner. I've learned more football and forgot more football after I left Ted that I will ever remember. Ted was the perfect quarterback coach, perfect person to work for me, and I just found a gold mine. So if my story has any success, I can always thank those people. And I think as you grow older, you appreciate those kind of people even more. And if you've coached yourself, you really do appreciate a coach like Ted and Claude. To both of you, thank you very much. I would have never. I have this ring because of you guys. I have an NFL pension because of you guys, and I thank you. Finally, I would like to address my table. We're Northern California people. We traveled like crazy to get up here and took trains and buses and all that and found San Diego again. My sister Penny is here, and anybody that has siblings that had to stay in the background while you got to be the athlete in the center of attention takes a very special person. I will always appreciate what you did, and I'll always appreciate what you had to do in this process. And I love you and I thank you. I thank your husband, Gary, your daughter, Tara, for being here tonight. This is a family thing, and I really appreciate it. You know, you come through life and you meet that one person that you're not sure when you've met them, or you're not sure when all this is going on that that's the person. I met that person my freshman year at the University of Colorado. He transferred here and played at San Diego State, and we were together at the Denver Broncos. We have gone through a lot of things. He's always been there for me. Recently, he's been there for me for knee replacements. He's been there for tough times with my family's health. And a friend like Rick Elwood is not somebody you just go find. You have to know when you have a friend like that, that you have a friend for life. And Rick, thank you very much for being my friend. I have two children, a 34-year-old daughter, a UC Davis grad, a Columbia University master's grad in nurse practitioner. She's a very smart, successful girl. She is the most unbelievably smart and talented person. And I thank myself and my wife for having such a wonderful kid like that. I also have a wonderful 28-year-old son that my wife said to me the other day, you know you ended up with the perfect son. And I said, you know I did. My son is giving. He is sincere. He is the kindest, nicest kid that I can ever have wanted. He absolutely loves sports. He absolutely knows more about sports than I ever thought I would. And to him, I love you and thank you for being here tonight. And I'd like to also acknowledge his partner, Mariana, for being here. Finally, if I can make it to the Hall of Fame for 2 years of service at San Diego State football, my wife of 36 years, Karen Penrose, deserves to be in a lot bigger Hall of Fame than this one. Karen, thank you very much for everything. We're here together because of you. We're here with great kids because of you. And I just thank you for everything without getting all gushy and stuff. And I love you very much. And again, thank you very much for recognizing me tonight. It means very much to me and to my family. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Craig Penrose, Aztec for life.